What's up, everybody? Jamel Gibbs. Welcome to the Deal Pro podcast. Got my man DeAndre Clayton back on the line. You guys know DeAndre. We've done a tremendous amount of content together that you guys absolutely love. We've spoken about HELOCs and infinite banking, and today we're going to give you guys a masterclass on finances, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things regarding where HELOCs are going, and we're going to talk about the tax benefits, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things that a lot of people aren't really thinking about. And DeAndre put together a lot of information so that you guys can follow along. So I think we're going to be sharing some screens and all of that stuff today. So I want you guys to take a lot of notes with what we're talking about today. You guys know that we love to provide a tremendous amount of content on this Deal Pro podcast. And that's what our intentions are today. My man DeAndre Clayton, what's up, brother?
What's happening, man? How you doing? It's been a little while since we had a little fun together, eh?
Yeah, man, a couple months now at this
Yeah,
point, man.
man.
I think the last thing last bit of content we've shot was with Anthony Russian back in May or something like that. Was it April or May?
Yeah.
Somewhere
I
right
think,
around
I
there.
think it might have been around May or something like that, man. Good
Yeah,
gracious.
man. But we here now, man. Here we're back with vengeance, and we're gonna provide a tremendous amount of value, man. So for everyone who is new to the channel, maybe they don't know who you are. Why don't you give them a little bit of background on that?
My name is DeAndre Clayton. Obviously, I've been in the insurance industry for about 10 years. I like to say I've been in the financial industry because I'm doing a lot of different things now, thanks to, the exposure. Of course, I'm helping people with money management, and that's kind of how I start off every appointment now is just money management first, then whatever your retirement situation is, and we move on from there with estate planning. Um, I think it's important because a lot of people struggle with the first piece, right? And if they don't get the first piece right, then everything kind of crumbles apart and they never catch up to the other things that they're supposed to be doing. So it's really fun to be here and to be here with many more resources than I've ever had before. I remember when I first got involved with asset recovery and I was helping someone recover the money from a foreclosure. A woman said, well, your name is Clayton Financial Solutions. So I'm in a pinch. I also need you to loan me some money. At that time, I didn't have a lending service set up, but now I do. Right. So now I have partners for lending. I have partners for bettering your credit. I have partners for debt consolidation and even some employment opportunities that are out there for people who want to help in their communities. So I'm really excited about that. And we'll say it at the beginning of this podcast and at the end. I'm going to start doing every first Monday. I'm going to start doing a HELOC webinar at 7:30 Eastern so that, anybody can come in. They have questions. They can shoot questions to me then and see some real data on the sheets so they can kind of get a good feel for it. So really excited to provide some information today and, see how we can help you. And, I forgot this too. I'm also a IRMA certified planner now. So I'm helping those who are higher net worth seniors to be able to lower their tax burdens during those senior years. So that transition actually kind of led me to this conversation today, in fact. So it's going to be really exciting on that front.
Yeah, man. So why don't we hop right into it, man? Do you need to share the screen or anything like that?
Yeah, we're gonna share the screen. We're gonna share the screen today. We definitely gonna share the screen. So let me see what we got here. So the first thing I'm gonna do as far as sharing the screen is because I think it's really, really important for us to start to really, really grasp one if we're doing business with somebody or anything like that. There's different ways to find them. A good rule of thumb, and I don't mean to be this way, but sometimes people say, "Oh, I think it might be a scam," right? So this is my LinkedIn profile. It's my LinkedIn profile. I also have a Better Business Bureau, but this topic right here, it kind of dawned on me that a lot of people are unaware about how finances is. And one of the things in the industry, the financial industry, and Jamel can definitely attest to this. On one of the shorts, Jamel, did you see a comment about, hey, if it's a life insurance guy, what do you expect from a life insurance guy? Of course, he's going to sell life insurance. Did you see something like that before?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen that actually a number of times, man.
I see it all the time. And so what I wanted to do was create a neutral party so that people could say, oh, hold on, there might be something to this, right? So this right here is a man who's been in the industry for about 40 years in the industry. His name is Dave Spence. He's a CPA, CFP, and a CLU. Now, the PFS part, you wouldn't really care that much for, but the CPA obviously is the person who is a certified public accountant. The CFP is a certified financial planner, and the CLU is a chartered life underwriter. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, this is a person who has all styles of what the financial industry is based on this. But let's read what he says, because I hear a lot of buy term and invest the difference arguments in the shorts and stuff like that. And we want to just focus on what's really important, right? He says, I'm often asked for my best investment idea. I'm not sure if this is legal here or not, but here it is. Invest in taxes now and the return will be large. Take more than your required minimum distribution, sell taxable assets, and invest in tax-free investments. Understand at least 5 methods for Roth funding. Use the low 22 to 24% completely. Invest in life insurance if you are in even higher tax brackets. Maximize health savings accounts and don't use them before retiring. Don't expect your financial advisor to tell you this. It costs him/her money. And your tax preparer is too swamped to deal with the future of taxes. Then he plugs his course, which, go ahead and get the course. There's really good information on it. But I really wanted to touch on this for a specific reason. Many people, when they look at this aspect of investing, I guess you could say, they relegate it to only what is the return of investment. Mm-hmm. And somehow they forget about this thing called taxes that completely changes what your actual return is. And it's really important to talk about that, because when I read the comments or things like that, I see how much people minimize taxes, and they're minimizing it in an environment that they don't understand taxes is likely to go up. So case in point, Jamel, have you seen stuff about how bad the debt is in America right now?
Trillions,
right? 35 trillion to be exact. And that's after assets. So it's really 49 trillion, but they have enough assets to bring them to the 35 trillion point. Now, why do I bring that up? Well, I bring it up because the last time our debt to GDP, and GDP for you who are listening, that's the gross domestic product. That means how much does America manufacture, right? So the last time it was there, it was 119% was right after World War II, right? And when World War II happened, the marginal tax rate became 91%. I'll say it again. It became 91%, the marginal tax rate. And it did that for 2 decades straight, right? Now, and,
that's ridiculous. First of all,
I'm fear mongering though. So let me go to, let me go there, because people might think, oh, he's fear mongering, right? What do you see there, Jamel? When you look at the screen, you'll notice, right at 1954,
91%.
91%. Now look, it's not going to matter how great the return was. The return doesn't matter when taxes is 91%. A lot of people don't think about that. Now, we got an election coming up. People are thinking about the capital gains taxes coming up, and I hear a lot of people arguing about that. But the reality is whenever the debt reaches this level, there's going to be a tax increase. And it doesn't matter who goes in office. I'm sorry to tell y'all that. I know you want to vote for one side, you want to vote for the other side, but when the GDP level reached 119%, this is what happened, right? And you'll notice that it stretched from 1954 all the way down to 1963. Could you imagine that? That's retarded. Like, that's ridiculous to have to spend that much on what you earn. But check this out.
You're basically working to pay the government.
You're basically working to pay the government to cut the debt down. Now, this was what the government did because of 119% debt to GDP level. A healthy company runs at 30 to 40%. Right now, America is at 130% debt to GDP level. I repeat, it's at 130%, and it's on its way to 140% debt to GDP level. So for all of you who like to, over romanticize this aspect of buy a term and invest the difference, and you're not thinking about the vehicle that you are putting your money into, you can make as much money as you want to, but once those taxes hit, you ain't make nothing. You invested for the government. That's what you did, right? And so it's important for people to start understanding that there's real, situations or circumstances that we are put into because of the government misspending, right? Now the other part I want to touch on, buy term and invest the difference. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I gotta cook y'all because I be loving these comments, trying to prove me wrong and all this other stuff. So this right here that I'm about to show you guys is from Fidelity, right? Now, Fidelity is, a management firm, right? And what do? Well, they basically, you can invest money inside of a Fidelity account. Now, I want you to remember, Jamel, you might remember from 2013 to 2023, was that a bull market?
That was, so it depends on if you're talking about stocks or real estate.
Stocks.
Stocks. I'm not a stock guy, but I believe that was a bull market. Yes.
Yeah. So they called it the longest bull market in history, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I want you to look at these numbers, because when I hear buy term and invest the difference and how much better it would be than insurance, I'm thinking the numbers are going to be astronomical. I'm thinking you really, really going to make some bread, right? But if we look at the average retirement accounts, it states in the 401k in 2023, the balances were $84,600. Or 2013. Now, fast forward to 2023, and that's $107,700. Whoa, hold on. I thought it was a bull market. I thought they was averaging 10% a year, 15% a year, something crazy like that. Well, I mean, if we just do some quick math on what it's really saying, 84,600, take that, divide it by 107,000. Okay. That's So what are we talking about? A split of 22%
over the course of 10 years.
Over the course of 10 years. So then we divide that by 10, and how much is that per year?
2.2.
Oh man, I'm lost. I didn't make this up. This is Fidelity's report. I did not make this up, people. I'm sorry. I know it's hurting your feelings and everything, but DeAndre did not make this up. So what is happening? Well, in the last video, when we had Anthony, we were talking about the problem with using 401ks to borrow from in order to get you out of a pinch. Now, I'm going to show you why it says the average retirement account balances are that. As we scroll down, what does it say? Spotlight series, breaking down withdrawals versus loans. So what's the one potential cloud on the horizon? Despite consistent contribution levels, many individuals are increasingly have been tapping their retirement savings through in-service withdrawals, hardship withdrawals, or loans. Right? So what's been hurting their balances? Oh, they keep trying to touch the money.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear I could just take a 401k loan instead of use a HELOC now, right? Because we see what's going on with the balances, and this is just Fidelity's report of what happened during the longest bull market. But we got more. We got more. We got a ton today. We got time today, as a matter of fact. So, got a lot of time today. We got a lot of time today. All right. So, you may have heard some news in the Yahoo News or wherever, CNN. A lot of folks are talking about how great the fact that there are more 401k millionaires than ever before, right? So I want you to remember that a lot of you, when you hear headlines, you don't read as compared to what, right? So Jamel, if you look at the purple part, you'll see it says 401k plans hold $7.4 trillion in assets as of December 31st. There's 70 million active participants and millionaires or millions of former employees and retirees. So there's 70 million people who are actually active in having a 401k. Now, why am I saying that? Why is that of note? Well, let's see how many 401k millionaires are. I don't want to just say this stuff. I just like provide the information. Don't shoot the messenger today. Right? All right. So what do we have here? Well, we have here that the number of 401k millionaires that have a balance of at least $1 million is 497,000. So 497,000 out of 70 million people. What percentage is that? Well, hold on. Let's see.
That's like 1%, a little less than 1%. Because you figure 70 million, 1% of 70 million is 700,000. So you're talking about 70% of that?
0.71%.
0.7, yeah. 70%
0.71%. Now, I'm not saying this to hurt y'all feelings, but I'm trying to figure out where is all of this money y'all talk about when you buy and term and invest in the difference? Where you putting it at? Where you putting it at? Because this fund has more money than anybody else. The 401k has more money than everybody else. So how are you faring? Because these numbers, the actual numbers, not theory, are showing that people aren't really doing that well. And part of the reason why I say you're not doing that well, in the same doggone article, it tells you most people need nearly $1.5 million to retire. So take that into mindset. If you need 1.5 million to retire, but only 0.71% are getting there, we got a problem.
And that's not including married couples. Let's say, that's one person. That's not including if you have a spouse.
One person. One person. Right?
That's per person, $1.5 million.
Per person. And you know what's the funny thing is, there was an article I had mentioned it to somebody the other day, and it kind of hurt their feelings. But it was a CFP talking about the survey that Dave Ramsey did in reference to how many millionaires became millionaires because of their 401k. Bro, it's 25 millionaires in America. Dave Ramsey's survey said that 80% of millionaires said that they became millionaires because of their 401k.
You said how many millionaires in America?
80% of millionaires said they became millionaires, or the 401k played a huge role in them becoming a millionaire. So let me get this right. only 0.71% actually have $1 million in the account. But somehow 80% of all millionaires says that it played the biggest role into their success in becoming a millionaire. Come on, like, what are we doing? I do this not to hurt y'all feelings. I do this because I really want people to start reading. We're going to talk about a language that is not, it's not a new language. You ever heard of Twee?
Twee? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to use an acronym for it. I want you all to start thinking with intention. Stop just listening to what you hear without any data, without any reading or anything, and then thinking you're brilliant all of a sudden because of all this information without you actually doing the due diligence yourself to go and see, right?
Most people are herd their followers, man. So they hear one thing and they follow the herd. A lot of people don't want to think for themselves, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
And what they do is they'll pick up something that sounds good and that they feel emotionally tied to, and they'll run with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, this right here, this is from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve says people between ages 55 and 64 have $185,000 in retirement savings. Jamel, what the buy term investor difference? What happened? What happened? They're getting here with only $185,000 and they still ain't got insurance. They losing on both ends, right? But why are they losing on both ends? This is not to hurt y'all feelings in any way, but the reason why you're losing on both ends is because of the worst concept in sales. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Because it's been bastardized. It's actually a good concept, but because of the bastardization, it's become the worst. One of them. It's called KISS. I know you know that concept, right? Well, what's KISS mean in sales?
Keep it super simple, man.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid, right? That's
keep it simple, stupid,
right?
I was trying to be nice about it.
Yeah, hey, we being real today. So the keep it simple, stupid concept is really talking to the agent and saying, don't overcomplicate whatever you're trying to communicate, right? But on the inverse, where a lot of you fail at is the oversimplification, right? Like there are some things that I can simplify, but so much, and you need to be able to catch it. If I oversimplify it, then I'm lying. When they say the average in the market is 10%, that's a lie. Why is it a lie? Well, I just showed you all of the metrics that shows you that people really aren't doing that good in America with that advice of buy term and invest the difference. It is irrefutable at this point based on that. But the other reason why it's a lie is because a lot of people don't know basic arithmetic. So I'm going to use this analogy and I want y'all to follow it, do it at home, see if it helps you. If I got $100,000 and my portfolio drops by 50%, where am I at? Okay, I'm at 50,000. Now, if the market performs at 100%, I'm back up at 100,000. But if I look at my year-end statement, it'll tell me that I'm up 75%. So I just proved to you can be up 75% and not make $1. You can be up 75% and not make $1. Look up intra returns. This is your money, people. This is your money. Stop taking whatever somebody says for face value. Start doing the work, right? Because your family's life depends on it. And the quicker you get out of these taxable avenues, because not only are you dealing with volatility, which I'm not saying is wrong for you to deal with volatility, but what I am going to tell you, stop buying lottery tickets to pay your power bill. Now you might not understand what I'm saying. Then stop buying lottery tickets to pay your power bill.
Preach to him, man. Talk to him.
What do I mean by that? Well, if you go to Ted Benner, Ted Benner is actually the creator of the 401k. He stated that it was never supposed to replace pension plans. And what do most of you do? You act like it's a pension plan. You act like it's a pension plan and get mad when somebody tells you it ain't working. I just showed you the work. It ain't working, right? I'm not being mean to you, but the reality was back in the day, right before the 70s, because let me help some people out. They don't know this. You had to get a stockbroker before 1974. You had to individually go and get somebody to actually, trade your money before 1974. 1974, that's when your 401ks and all these other things came around, right? Now, before that, we used to have what was called defined benefit plans, which were pension plans, which most companies were able to do. Here's a fun fact. Over 60% of those pension plans were funded by life insurance. Let me say it again. Over 60% of the pension plans were funded by life insurance. What would happen was the employer would actually insure each of the employees. They would be able to draw income for the rest of their life. And then at the very end, the death benefit would pay off the remainder and give it to their family, right? A lot of people don't know this, but this is the history of the finances in America, right? You weren't always able to go and risk your money if you wanted to the stock market. That's why Wall Street became so big on the movies, because it was mysterious. Mm-hmm. If you knew a stockbroker, that was like, hold on, you got real money. Hold on, what? But regular people, and I'll take blame for this, and I think every infinite banking guy needs to take blame for this. Infinite banking is not for rich people. Rich people understand it better. I repeat, it's not for rich people. Rich people can understand it better. And that's why it's easier for them to get involved with it.
But that's like that with everything, really, man.
That's like that with everything. That's like that with everything, right? And so if you're hearing me clearly, life insurance was a part of your retirement before stock was. Oh my goodness. Now we're gonna prove that today too. Well, I got clips today. We working. we working. So I'm gonna give you another aspect of why I feel so strongly about these things. One, most of you don't have the leverage to be able to lose money. You don't have the, when you lose money, you can't even look at your accounts. I meet with 6 to 7 people every day. And whenever we talk about their accounts, guess what they tell me? Man, I don't even want to look at it right now. Look, if you're putting your money somewhere where you're scared to look at it, you might need to look somewhere else. You shouldn't have PTSD with your own money. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And so it's important that we master the money management first so that you get used to actually having money, right? That you get used to getting out of debt easy. You get used to being able to take control of different aspects. The stuff that I teach, you won't like it if you want me to do all the work. If you want me to do all the work, you ain't gonna like it, right?
That's right.
I hook you up with the HELOC. All of this is on you. You control the money, not me. I'm not a broker for that, right? I hook you up with the insurance policy. It's going to perform in accordance to what I've done to set it up. I don't have to manage it. It's the best non-managed asset in the world, right? So, and why do I choose to go this way? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of your advisors act like life is given. Like it's a given you're going to be here tomorrow. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. Not because I don't know if I'm be in the business. I don't know if something gonna happen to me, right? And if something happened to me, you need to be in the best position, even if I'm not alive, right? That's what looking out for your future interests actually means. Doesn't mean you depend on me every looking away. You know what I'm saying? So I want to show you this really, really cool idea because sometimes people say, oh, you got to be rich, family has to be wealthy, all this other stuff. And, we've talked about combining life insurance and the HELOC, and I want to use a legitimate example of that. I want this to be seen. I want it to be visible that it is possible for I guess you could say, normal family to be able to benefit from it. So I don't know if I don't know how clear it's coming in, but I have two examples here. One of them has without high cash value life insurance, and the other one has with cash value life insurance. So we're gonna walk through these as a HELOC example and funding a policy at the same time and see how beneficial could this be for the client. And Jamel, this is gonna trip you out. It's gonna trip you out. So I painted the picture that we have a $250,000 house, right? So we got a $250,000 house. The HELOC is at 8.5%. The mortgage is at 3.5%. And of course, we're using it as if it's just brand new off the presses on both of them. So we got, a full term of the mortgage left, 30 months. We also have the same homeowners insurance and taxes wrapped up into it. But when we look at the net income for the family, it's $9,600. Now I know some of y'all gonna be like, "Who making $9,600?" There's plenty of families that make $9,600 together. That's not that hard, right? But there's plenty of families making $9,600 together. Now you'll notice the monthly expenses is at $4,000. Now it was higher before, but it was higher because we had to include the mortgage payment. So we got rid of the mortgage payment because the HELOC purchased the property, right? Following me so far? All right, cool. So if you look at this example, you'll notice that the house at 30 years is going to cost 404, 140 and 22 cents, right? So the interest paid is $154,140.22. Now I want you to look at the right side though, right? The HELOC is on track for 304, 446, 36.
$100,000 less.
Right? $100,000 less than the mortgage in this particular situation. Now, I'm showing 3.5 versus 8.5 people. 3.5 versus 8.5. Interest rate. It's not the interest rate, it's the cash flow here, right? Now, and to help you, that number at the bottom when it talks about effective interest rate, that's for you. So that's when you think, oh, I have a 3.5 interest rate. How could this possibly work? When we're running the HELOC and you're flowing all your income through the way we teach you, it's saying that the interest rate, the effective interest rate would be similar to a 1.4 mortgage, right? A 30-year mortgage. Now, I want you to look to the right side though, right? So on the right side, the mortgage is still the same. But you'll notice the monthly expenses just went up by $2,083. Now, why is that? Because we're funding a policy with a monthly premium to equal $25,000 as a premium for the full year. $25,000 for the full year. Now, if I approached you and said, hey, you want to put $25,000 inside of life insurance policy? Who in the world got that kind of money? Who? You had close to it though. The mortgage was costing you, right? Now, even with this put into this illustration, notice that we are at 9.33 years. So still better than 30, and it's still less. 362, 989.79, right? Now, there's another portion of this that a lot of people and even HELOC guys don't necessarily explain about why, even if the HELOC is at a higher number per se than the mortgage, that you could possibly still be saving money? I'm going to give you the answer. On the mortgage, you'll notice that there is no consideration of how much money you make, but there's also no consideration of how much money you spend. And the HELOC it is. So every year for this client, when you're looking at this $6,083, in essence, what's going on is they are spending, if you were to replicate that in a mortgage, well, 6,083 times 12, that's $72,996 that's charged against the HELOC that isn't charged against the mortgage. It's already counted. So it actually is causing drag on the HELOC, but the drag on the HELOC still doesn't move it as slow as the mortgage with the expenses coming out, right? So is this worth it though? Is it worth it for me to try all this stuff? Well, if you don't feel like it's worth it to save some money just in that aspect, let's show you what that $25,000 actually could get for you, right? So here's an illustration. And for all the young people out there, or for all the parents, I really want you to think about how you can set your kids up with the right knowledge, especially if they went to college, got a good job and everything, how easy their lives could be. So we're going to act like this is the retirement plan, right? Now remember, by the time people are 55 to 64, they only have $185,000 saved up in retirement, the average person. Now, in this design, I'm showing $25,000 going out every year for 10 years, just 10 years, right? So we got a girl who's 30 and she's doing it for 10 years. Now she stops at 40 or 41 rather. You don't see no premium. Now this whole time she can borrow from this account and it wouldn't change the growth in the next year. Wouldn't change the growth at all in the next year. All she got to do is pay the interest on the loans. Preferably, we want her to pay it back because it's going to be the cheapest place for her to get money. But how is that, how helpful would that be when she wants to pay for her house, a down payment on a new house? How helpful will it be when she wants to get another car? It could be extremely helpful. What if she just wants to learn how to invest in some other stuff, right? Extremely helpful. Now, here's the kicker, though. These decisions are not only short-term good, but they long-term good. Your child is worth far more. You probably would have set them up a Roth IRA, and the values would have been $22,000 or a little bit more, but the value of the Roth IRA wouldn't be $548,000, right? That's the difference in the life insurance. But let's check out, fast forward, if we wanted to use it for retirement. Because remember, I said that retirement was life insurance created that concept, right? At 60, this young lady would be able to draw $51,139 tax-free withdrawals. I'm not even talking about loans, Jamel. I'm talking about withdrawals out of this account, right? So she could do that for 20 years. In this design, $51,139. Now let's put that into context. There's a Monte Carlo simulation that says if you are trying to retire, you need to retire with a 4%, withdrawal rate on your money because you don't want to run out of money before you die, basically, right? So imagine this. If you were trying to simulate this and 51,139 was your net that you're getting, you would have to have $1,598,094 in a retirement account. Jamel, how many people have over $1 million in their retirement account again? What was it?
400 and something thousand.
0.71%.
Yeah.
So it becomes almost impossible to do that. Now, in the meantime, this young lady was able to do whatever she wanted to do with this account, buy real estate, pay off the real estate, all of that, while she was creating a retirement account in the same place. And then when she finished drawing at 80, she still had a death benefit of $556,000, $663. We're talking about being comfortable, people. I'm not going to tell you that you need the life insurance policy. I'm not going to tell you that you need retirement. But here's the reality. You want things. And what you want is to retire comfortably. You want to retire with some dignity. You want to not have to work if you don't want to work. You want to invest in real estate. You want to do a lot of things, but are you going in the direction of what you want? For most of you, no. That's why you're struggling. That's why you're struggling, right? Now, here's another layout. Now, this is for my real estate investors, right? Because I know you guys like to do cash out refis and all that kind of stuff. But this is also for a family who I think, Jamel, you can relate to this. A lot of times when people do a refi, it's only because they want a lower payment.
Or pull some money out of the house.
They want to pull money out or they want a lower payment, right? Now, in both cases, the worst thing happens. It resets the amortization schedule, right? It resets the amortization schedule. Now, people, I know you're scared of something that you don't understand, which is the HELOC, but I need you to be scared of what you're already doing because you don't really know the cost of what you're doing. I'm just being honest with you, right? I'll tell you, I had a appointment with a couple very recently, and the wife was a little squeamish. She didn't want to sit in on the appointment, so we kind of got around it and made sure that she was there that one day when I met with her, right? But in the appointment, she said, "Oh no, the HELOC is a scam. Yeah, I don't believe in it." So I asked her, I said, "Well, how much you got left on the house?" They had over, well over 200,000 left on the house, but they was in their 60s. They was in their 60s. So I said, "Okay, well, why do you owe this much? You in your 60s. How long have you had the house?" "Oh, we had the house for about 20 years. 20 years? Well, shoot. Was it even worth as much as you got left on it?" Nah. So your purchase price was less than what you still owe 20 years later? Why? Well, we refied a few times. We refied a few times. Well, when was the last time you refied? Oh, about 4 years ago. Oh, okay. So you refied 4 years ago. You're in your 60s. So what you're telling me is when you refi, well, how many years you refi? 30. So what you're telling me is you didn't expect to pay this house off, or you have enough life insurance to pay it off. Well, nah. What's your plan? You scamming you. You talking about what the HELOC doing? You scamming you. Real talk. So I asked, what advisor did you meet with before you made this decision? Well, nobody. Oh, when the loan officer met with you, how'd it go? Oh, did he hold his hand at the top of the page and then he just flipped the corners and he said, "Sign here, sign here, sign here," without explaining everything? Well, yeah. Well, why are you calling me a scam artist? You literally sit in the office and let somebody make you sign papers that you didn't read. People, we really trying to help you. But you got to think if you want to be helped. You have to think if you want to be helped. So I'm going to show you this. Go ahead, Jamel. It looked like you really want to say something about that.
I was gonna reference that in line with something that I was just talking to one of my coaching clients about. He has a friend that tried to backdoor him on a deal, and unfortunately, the guy didn't invest into a coach or anything like that. Did a HELOC on his house, second lien HELOC. He took the money, overpaid for the house, bought a house from New Western, which that's a whole nother story for another day. But now he's in a bad situation where he's about to lose the house. And in addition to that, he just destroyed his finances because he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't seek out the experience, the expertise. A lot of people frown upon experience and expertise and coaching because there's an
Yes.
investment that
Mhm.
comes along with it. But look, now you're going to invest the money the hard way and
Ridiculously.
possibly lose your personal residence
Yeah.
and possibly lose the house that you invested in anyway because you didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just wanted to couple that with what you were saying.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I said it on the podcast with Anthony that the point of failure is the user.
Yep.
It's the user. And I'm not saying that all of these different products or all of these different tools are bad. Tools are not bad. How you use them is bad if you don't know how to use them.
Yep.
Stop trying to make a hammer a screwdriver. It doesn't work.
You
Right?
said something that was important too, man. I wrote it down. You said a lot of people believe that this is for rich people. Look, I grew up in the projects. I grew up poor. My family, I don't come from a history of finances and understanding how to use our finances the right way in order to make money, right? But really, this is not about this being for rich people. Is about knowing how to get this information, number one, and being consistent. So taking consistent action the
Yeah,
same way we can be consumers, we can be producers, right? The
absolutely.
same way we can spend our money because we got into a habit of spending money on things that we like. It's the same way we can do the opposite and produce money that can then allow us to get what we want. So,
Absolutely.
this is about being consistent and having the right knowledge. Sometimes you got to invest into the knowledge,
Right.
but the consistency part is really the play. Just doing
Absolutely.
things different than what you're currently doing, and that's why
Absolutely.
we provide information like this on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this next part that we're sharing here, this is really about because I think when we talk about the first lien HELOC and the mortgage, people only kind of compare the first lien HELOC and the mortgage like when I pay this off, when I pay this off. And they forget that they have other things in their life going on. Look, folks, all of that information I started off with when I talked about the GDP level, the effects of that, I'll tell you. My mom has a 780 credit score. And recently, one of her credit cards said, hey, we're changing your rate. It went up to 38% on a person who has a 780. You don't stand a chance in this environment. You need to figure it out. You need to figure out a way to get yourself out of regular consumer debt in a more efficient way. So the HELOC method is not specifically for paying the house off, people.
Mhm.
We show it to you to make it easy for you to understand that. But I want you to be able to think outside of that and say, man, I have stuff that's charging me 28%. What can I do? Right? And if you're not there from a debt to income ratio, well, then, we have a debt payoff team that can help you and clean that up. If you're not there from a credit standpoint, as far as your credit score, we have a team for that too, right? But start making steps forward on changing your narrative because soon it's going to get to a point where you're only going to be able to get alternative lending. There was a video Noelle did very recently. I think it was maybe about 3 weeks ago. And she was talking about everybody being declined on business credit and all types of stuff right now. That
Oh yeah, it's tight out there right
a
now,
lot of
man.
people ain't lending money, right? So if a lot of people ain't lending money, I want y'all to understand something. If you're a regular person, you don't stand a chance. The developers have completely taken over the developing market for buying a new house and creating it from, foundation to the top of the roof, right? If we were looking 10, 20 years ago, they might have had 15% of the share. Now they got 70. Why? Because you ain't got access to money.
Hmm.
You don't have access to money to build what you want. You need to start thinking outside of that.
That's the epitome of the rich getting richer, and it's because they have access to knowledge,
Yep.
they have access to assets, and they got a network of people that they build around in order to be able to get richer.
Yep.
When you constantly spend your money on things that aren't producing, this is where you end up.
Yep.
Rich people or wealthy people understand that a dollar, to me, I look at every dollar as a soldier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want every dollar working for me. Every dollar is a worker. You're going to go to war for me, you're going to work for me and bring back more, right? Consumers work for the dollar and then spend it all and put it
Absolutely.
right back into the system. So you got to reverse how you're thinking. You got to think completely different. And that's the only way you're going to change the game for yourself.
That's it. That's it. And we're talking about time value of money. The biggest
Mm-hmm.
aspect of that is when you have money all the time, you have the biggest thing that there is, opportunity.
Yep.
If you never have money, you bite at things that actually aren't opportunities. But if you have money all the time, you have the ability to say, nah, that's not a good deal. That ain't gonna work for me, right? You're not gonna get scammed as much, right?
Yep.
Now here's the other aspect that I wanted to touch on. Now I want y'all to imagine, and I'm taking you through all of these slides because I want to take it from just a regular conversation to how does this look practically, right? So I'm using this analogy of what if I wanted to do a cash out refi and I got $30,000 of debt I'm trying to clean up. Now, it doesn't matter where that debt was coming from, if it was credit cards or if it was car loans, the rest of the car loan. It doesn't matter where that debt was coming from, but you needed 30 grand, right? So I'm going to paint this analogy for you of what normally happens. Well, in this environment, the interest rates are astronomical. So if you needed that money, you're in trouble. That's first and foremost. You're already in trouble, right? So if you needed that money, it's saying that if we wanted to add 20 months to the loan, right, no matter where you're at, 20 months to the loan, it was going to cost an additional $138,141.67 for what? For the 30,000. And the upfront cost was $7,100 for the 30,000. Right? That's a steep price to get $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
Me,
go ahead.
me and Anthony just did a similar. We ran some similar numbers to this on a podcast that we recently released. Man, it's incredible. You know, when you look at
Yeah,
the interest rate, the cost of fast money versus, you know, just being able to qualify for money can cost you a lot of money as well, man. You know?
yeah, yeah. It could cost you a ton of money. Now, here's the problem. Well, that low interest rate that you was trying to lock in, that you loved before, we was at 3.5, and now we got to go to 2.821. We got to go up by 2.821 just to get the 30,000. Well, I'm paying $138,000 more for 30K. That's well over 100. That's well over $100,000 already for just 30, right? Now I'm going to do this comparison, and I'm being very modest in this comparison. I put the 280,000, so I added the 30, and I put it at 20 years, at 240 years. I mean 240 months, right? Now that's going to cost you $493,968 at that interest rate, no matter what you already paid off, right? That's where we're at. Now in the HELOC, when I added that 30,000, guess what? That 30,000 removed $1,500 of my cash flow. It was taking $1,500, so I got that back now, and I'm still funding the insurance policy. I got that back, and I'm still funding the insurance policy. Where am I at now? I'm at 6.25 years, $362,262.78. Folks, what we doing? What we doing? There's no scamming going on here. What it is people are intentionally trying to make you think. You usually ask a lot of questions when you're given more information. when you don't ask questions, it's because you don't have anything to go off of. I invite you to ask questions, but I also invite you to do that to everybody who you're already dealing with. I want to know how many of y'all, when y'all get on these calls, when you're signing up for the mortgage, do you actually ask, hey, what's this truth in lending thing mean?
Majority of people don't even ask that question, man.
Do
It's
you even
unfortunate.
know what truth in lending is, right? Do you even know what it is, right? We don't say this to beat up on you. We say this to wake you up. We say this to wake you up because we really do want to help you. Most of you are going to end up destitute. It's going to be a bloodbath with all the taxes. We just showed you it was 91% for some time. You'll think that that could never happen. And so you invested all this money. You're not even focusing on your money management. You need to get out of debt. You need to get out of debt. Right? If you ain't at a 680 or 700, you need to be figuring out how to get there real fast. Because it's going to get ugly. And the reason why we're showing you this is because living off of loans doesn't cost nothing in taxes. Taxes aren't attached to loans. That's the moral of this whole story. That's why DeAndre took you down this whole street. Everything you're doing, you're going to get hit on the back end too.
There's people out there who would say, oh, well, he's teaching you how to, and I've seen this on YouTube. That's why I'm bringing it up. He's teaching you how to stay in debt for the rest of your life. That's not the case, man. How do you address that?
So one, I would address it and asking, first, how far ahead are you on your net worth? Right? And what I mean by that, I had a teacher, a mentor actually, who said when he meets with a client and he talks about their net worth, and they tell him their net worth, he says, how much do you owe on the house? They tell him how much you owe on the house. Then he says, how much of the house do you have access to? They say, oh, well, no, it's in a mortgage. He was like, that's a minus in your net worth. It's a minus in your net worth. Look, folks, when it comes to debt can be your friend and it can be your enemy. I'm going to be very frank about it. We're not talking about being irresponsible and going and buying Lamborghinis and Bugattis. What we're talking about is going and buying assets that will equal more than what you're owing on this vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. So no, you're not going to be in debt for the rest of your life, because if that was your main thing, you just wanted to sell it and get out of debt. Well, one, let's just use this as an example because I want to go back to the illustration for this, because this will answer a lot of that he just trying to keep us in debt conversation, right? How am I trying to keep you in debt when you have multiple liquid vehicles where you can pull from? So if you just decided, okay, I'm going to go buy a house, or if there was more left on your HELOC, debt that was left on your HELOC, guess what? You got a death benefit here. Guess what? You got cash value that's been growing up the whole time here, right? We just showed that the house was worth $250 in this example. By the time the client get to 9 years, they got $260. And if you want to adjust for inflation, okay, well, by the time they get to 15 years, is the house really worth $382 by then? I don't know, maybe. But you have it on hand. Right now, you don't live like that. You can say somebody wants you to stay in debt, but the reality is debt is anything where it's under zero. So you can get out of debt, and then you can owe a person $1 and you're in debt. You can keep the money in your mattress. You're gonna be in debt because inflation is not gonna help you.
They're gonna lose value every single day.
We'll lose value every single day. Our dollar isn't even worth that much,
At
right?
all.
And so, first stop, money management, folks. And I can't stress this enough. When you learn how to manage money in a smarter environment that allows you to be more aggressive on paying off debt, you get time back. Now, what does that time do for you? You can be more aggressive. I'm not much of the stocks guy. I make no qualms about it. My mom lost a lot in the stock market, and it gave me a nasty taste in my mouth, right? But if that's your thing and you desire to do that, well, why don't you do it after you finish paying off the house? Or why don't you do it with the insurance policy? If you're looking at the insurance policy, it's gonna buffer. What we call is a volatility buffer. Why is it a volatility buffer? Well, after 10 years, you ain't even put money into it. So you can invest all you want to. You done bought whole and you invest the difference. You done bought whole and you can invest the difference. Go ahead and invest it if you want to. If that's really what you want to do, you'd be better off investing from a non-debt position than a debt position. Because now you can invest more, and you're better off investing when you actually have guaranteed income coming to you, right? People, get it through your minds. When you start talking about passive income and all these different things, you talk about that because you want to know how to budget your life. You want to have an exact amount that you think is going to be coming in on a regular basis. And then everything else should be cherry on top. That's the same thing with the retirement industry. If you focus on the insurance first, you gave the guaranteed asset the longest amount of time to grow. The other asset is topsy-turvy. It goes up and down. It's not based on time. So then, get your guaranteed asset up and then start investing in these other things that you can risk. There was Jamel, there was a guy who was on LinkedIn. He actually was a CFP, and he said, I do like the insurance policy. He said, I've had mine for 16 years, and it's grown consecutively just like it said it would. He said, but that's kind of boring. That's what he said. He said, that's kind of boring. And you know what I told him? I said, what's the most important part of a book? Is it the binder or is it the pages? He said, well, what you write on the pages, that's the story. You can write on the pages, but if the binder doesn't hold it together, pages are everywhere. So what we're saying, folks, is you need to have a foundation and then do the exciting things. Then have fun. Save first, have fun after. Save first, have fun after. Because you need to be able to mentally invest. And I'm going to tell you, it is very, very hard to invest money when you're struggling. Real talk.
That's a fact, man.
It's hard to lose on a big deal when you're struggling. Because that's everything you do, you feel like it needs to hit. It needs to hit because you're struggling. So that's what I have for today. I really wanted to kind of do this layout for y'all because I get a lot of questions about, well, how do you combine the infinite banking with the HELOC? But I wanted to also answer it as, why would you? Why would you? Where are you getting the money from? I just showed you where you can get the money from. An average family, right, can get the money from what they're already doing and just switching over into a HELOC and getting rid of the mortgage payment. And that was a small mortgage payment. In today's time, $1,400 is not the mortgage payment. You're probably going to see $1,700, $2,100 nowadays. I've been seeing even some 4,000s and 6,000s as of late as well. And, larger homes. What it's been doing for these people, especially those who are wealthy, like I said, these things are not for wealthy people. It just works better for them because they understand it. But that doesn't make you bad. You still need to meet yourself where you're at. Meet yourself where you're at. It's okay. If it takes you 7 years, that's better than 30 you was on track for.
Right.
If it take you 9 years, that's better. As long as it's taking off a lot of money and you can start redirecting it to do some other things that you need to do and buy some property. Get with your boy Deal Pro, you know? Deal Pro, Deal Pro, Deal Pro, Deal Pro, Deal Pro.
Deal pro. Hey, so look, at the end of the day, guys, DeAndre said it, I didn't. You want coaching in real estate, I'm your guy. You want financial help, contact DeAndre. I'm going to leave all the links in the description box. But if you had to provide our listeners with some last words of advice, and I know we said a mouthful today.
Yeah.
What would those words be?
Yeah. So just do your due diligence. Like I said, with Twee, think with intention. Stop letting people think for you. Stop hearing words that sound really cool and then being like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's, because you sound crazy when somebody really knows like what goes on behind the scenes, right? Especially in the financial industry. There's so many things I didn't even touch on. I didn't touch on corporate buybacks and how that changes, your return of investment, changing the demand in the market, given a false evaluation. I didn't even touch on that, right? But I can go on that tangent too, and people will be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm putting my money in these places, right? But ask yourself, did you ask questions when it was done? And did you understand the answers? Start asking questions and seek to understand the answers. Don't pretend to be smart. It will hurt you if you pretend to be smart.
That's right.
So get your money into places where you ain't got to worry about your taxes. For those who are seniors, you need to start thinking about Roth conversions. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can help you with that. But the reason why you need to start thinking about it, because them taxes is about to get real. History repeats.
Took the words right out of my mouth, man. History repeats itself.
History repeats.
And we can see, and like you said, just for emphasis, the reason why we were at 91%, a 91% tax rate before was because of what? What was our debt versus?
Our debt to GDP level was 119%, and currently it's 130%, and on the way up to 140, because the number one thing, or the number two things, I guess you could say, that contributes to our debt as United States is the Medicare and Social Security system. As long as we still have those things in place, we have 10,000 people who are adding to that debt every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day.
We're talking about 70 years ago. 70 years ago, 1950, early 1950s. Man, 70 years ago. I can't even believe it was that long. But we're talking about the tax rate being about that 91%.
Yeah.
History is repeating itself.
So be careful.
Smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Be smart. Invest in your taxes. Invest in your taxes. Try to get the monkey off your back right now, so that when your money grows now, you know it's actually your account value. It's not no fugaziness where you do this and all of a sudden you done lost 30%, you done lost 23%. Go ahead and knock it out now instead of losing that in the future.
And notice we didn't mention anything about, look, you should buy real estate. You should do infinite bank. We didn't mention anything like that. We're just breaking down the numbers for you guys so you can see it for yourself, why these vehicles make sense. All right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
We're going to leave all the information, the links to contact DeAndre and myself in the description box. We hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I definitely picked up on a couple of nuggets myself. And, like anything, if you want to make a change, you got to take action and you got to be consistent. Leave a comment in the comment section. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.